Welcome to Nick Saban Jr. Sports Talk TV show. Thank y'all for tuning in. Today is part two of potential depth chart talk, and today we are going to be on the defensive side of the football. And I got my guys with me like usual, Sutton and Josh. What's going on, guys?
What's up? What's up? How you doing?
Man, I'm excited. Spring game is right around the corner. We almost here. So before we talk about this depth chart, what are y'all expecting to hear out of tomorrow spring? Like, who are some of the players that y'all expected to hear something from or whatever?
Well,
Yeah.
well, I'm expected to hear better stuff about the defense. Hopefully, I know Dallas probably won't be playing, but hopefully we can get guys like Braswell back. To have that presence on the edge that we haven't had as much maybe this spring with him and Braswell or with him and Dallas being out. But I expect the defense to play a little bit better after having another week of practice and then having that first scrimmage. I think everyone was surprised the offense was as good as they were. I think they were going to be I think everyone thought the defense would kind of dominate them. I certainly did. But I think the thing that we'll find out most is the defense is going to rebound a lot.
Yeah, I think so too. And go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, just maybe about Kool-Aid a little on the defensive end, just because he wasn't there. Maybe the receivers won't have as good of a day, or at least maybe Jacory, because Kool-Aid will be on him. Which you want to see everyone do well, but I expect Kool-Aid to have a standout performance. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I'd like to hear some more about CJ Dupree. Haven't heard too much about him, about what's going on. He's the assumed starter, but haven't heard much out of him, even with Oots out. So would like to hear some positive things about him. And we'll ultimately all see in just over a week at A-Day.
Yeah. And I was gonna bring up the fact too that the last scrimmage, it was a lot of key defensive players out, so that probably could have affected it. But this is the scrimmage I want to, like, with the dudes that's out, the guys that are replacing them. I really want to kind of hear their name more. Like, well, I want to hear Jamil Burroughs' name splash a little bit. Justin Jefferson a little bit more. Maybe Kendra Blackshaw. I want to hear some of those names splash a little bit. Like, basically some of the backup guys that are getting the opportunities right now. I'd like to hear them a whole lot more.
Right, and that's what A-Day is for, right? To get to hear about those guys that don't typically play as much, and I think everyone is going to be looking out. I mean, obviously, quarterback battle. We've talked about this. We can't really keep talking about it, but I'm interested, and I think most Alabama fans are too, in just the freshmen that are coming in, because I think every year when I go to the A-Day game, I want to learn more about our newcomers because I haven't seen them play in person, and so I think guys like Justice Haynes and Jalen Hale are guys that I'm going to watch out for, and especially Caleb Downs, because you figure he's going to be a starter this year with all the buzz we've heard out of him out of spring camp.
Yeah, along those lines, more like freshmen, but technically redshirt freshmen. Earl Little, who we'll talk about later, he's been playing star, so we didn't really see him at all last year, so this is a good opportunity for Alabama fans to see him. And to Antonio Kite, we'll see him. He had reps last week on last Friday's scrimmage with the ones with Kool-Aid out. So it'd be good to see him, someone that didn't play much last year that was transitioning from safety to corner. Seems like we've had a lot of that. And obviously it'd be good to see all, the freshman corners too, like Hurley and Ricks.
Yeah. I agree. So
I'm also interested to see how the depth of our D-line is tested, because I think that's a very strong group that we have. And I think that we've got a lot of experience there. We've got I'm looking at my list right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at sophomores or more coming back. So I think that's another position group I think that we're going to rely on. Kevin Steele is going to rely on this year to stop the run and get some maybe interior pass rush. And I'm really interested to see how they do against a very mobile quarterback in Jalen Milroe in the spring game.
Yes. Like you said, Josh, the defensive line, I want to hear people like Jamarian Latham, Damon Payne Jr., those guys. I want to hear those names. Like, like you said, let's get into the depth of this defensive line. You know what I'm saying? see what we're gonna do. I actually been hearing. I don't know how true it is, but I actually been hearing that right now it looks like Miro is winning the job so far.
Well, I think it's just that experience that's giving him the edge. I would say he's probably, in terms of winning the job, he's more favored to take the first snap against Middle Tennessee. I don't think there's really a clear separation in terms of who's better than the other. I just think that experience right now with the offense is giving him the edge. I don't think it's really anything in terms of play. I just think it's that experience and that reliability and knowing what to do in what situation, and just familiarity that he has with Saban and Saban's process, probably.
Yeah, I think it'll be real interesting. I think it's going to be I don't think Saban's going to come to a decision till at least fall, but I think these scrimmages can give someone an advantage. It sounded like last Friday, both came out pretty even. Ty reportedly threw more touchdowns, but Milroe was just as good. I saw a clip he threw a pretty good outside fade to Amari Kneeblock, who was in the slot, and ran a fade to the outside corner. So that looked pretty good from Milroe, and that's really what we want to see. He can make deep throws, and we've seen the one of Jacory, but how can he do it in a scrimmage format?
Yeah, and I also I want to piggyback on what you were saying with the whole him being ahead of the curve. I don't think that, and like Josh said, Simpson threw more touchdowns, but that's not necessarily indicative on who played better, who commanded the offense better. Just because Simpson threw more touchdowns doesn't mean that Milroe didn't take him down to the goal line and then they just handed the ball off. I think back in 2020 when we played Arkansas, I don't think Mac Jones threw a single touchdown pass, yet he dominated that game because he led the team up and down. We just got in situations where it was better for us to run the ball. And then back to Josh's point about announcing a starting quarterback, and especially in the transfer portal era, there's no reason why Saban should do that. Because if he was to go ahead and announce the starting quarterback after spring, who's to say that backup, whether it be Milroe or Simpson, transfers out? Then you're stuck with two true freshmen who don't have any experience at all at that position. Both guys who are considered to be good prospects, but raw. So I think, and especially even in 2016 when Blake Barnett lost the job, he transferred midseason. So I think in this day and age, he's not going to do it. I mean, it's not in Saban's nature anyway, but he's definitely not going to announce a starter after the spring game. So Alabama fans are probably going to have to wait till that first play against Middle Tennessee, and whoever walks out on the field is going to be the starting quarterback.
And it's not much doubt either that I have in either guy to be the job. 2016, I think there was a lot of uncertainty. At the time, I was big on Blake Barnett. Obviously, he wasn't ready. But I don't think Alabama fans. I think there's some that have a doubt, but I'm personally fine with either guy rolling out there. And I don't think we have a problem with the quarterbacks we have. I think both are capable right now. I really don't mind who it is. I just want who can give us the best chance to win. And I think both are going to have to prove themselves not only in the offseason and the preseason, but also in the season for 2 games. Because if they don't come out blazing, the next guy's going to come in.
Yeah. And I was saying this about the quarterback position. Like, honestly, I want this quarterback battle to go down to the wire. Like, I don't know if y'all remember Phil Simms and AJ McCarron. That quarterback battle went down to the wire. And I actually wanted to be a quarterback battle like that because I want both of these guys to stay hungry, stay intense, and keep working hard for this position.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, did y'all know though? Did y'all know the last 6 quarterbacks at Alabama that won the SEC title was a first-year starter?
Yeah. Yep. And I think Josh Pate posted that. My friend Josh Pate. And then
Columbus, Georgia. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And going back to that point about the competition, I mean, it'll make the players better, wanting to go out and compete with each other every day, go 100% in practice. I don't think anyone would not want that as a fan or a coach, especially Nick Saban. Nick Saban's going to love that competitiveness that they bring to practice every day, wanting to be a better version of themselves. And they'll probably get better for doing that. So, I think that's definitely a good thing for a team to have. A good problem.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So enough of that. Let's hop into this depth chart. So where y'all want to start off with this?
Well, we
Front
were
seven.
talking about that nasty D line. We might as well start with the nasty D line that we got coming in this year. We got
Okay.
So with departures, we're losing DJ Dale, starting nose guard, and also Byron Young, great presence on the end. But returning redshirt senior Justin Aboybe was out last year with an injury. Hated to see that happen. Such a good player. I've been really high on him ever since he stepped foot on campus. Then you mentioned Jamarian Latham, redshirt junior, coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Smith, a senior, redshirt junior Jamil Burrows, redshirt sophomore Damon Payne, redshirt sophomore Tim Keenan, Jaheim Otis, the big unit in the middle, Isaiah Hastings, Anquin Barnes, Monkel Goodwine, Curtis Perry. I mean, we've got a ton of returners at that position, more than any other position. So I think that's attributing to how deep it is this year. Josh, what do you think about the returners we've got at this position?
Yeah, nothing too glaring from any of the guys, I think, other than Otis. I think Otis is really the headliner out of that group. We don't have a star as of now. I think James Smith is the one that can develop into one. And but 15 guys for a position that last year we usually only had 2 in at a time. It's tough to get guys reps. Like Monkel hasn't played, Anquin Barnes hasn't played, Tim Keenan hasn't played. Burrows and Jamarian have had backup roles and rarely got in. So it's like it's a situation where you got to feed a lot of guys. 15 is always going to be tough to rotate, but I'm really high on the guys coming in. I think Renaud's a project just because he's going to have to get his weight up because he came in around 245, and if he's going to want to be a defensive lineman, I think he's going to have to at least add 30 to 40 pounds. Hunter Osborne, I think he's a bit of a project too. Edric Hill, could see in a year or two, but I don't think he'll make an impact. James Smith, like I've said, I think he could earn a starting job by the end of the year. Just reports coming out of scrimmage that he had 2 sacks. That's really good to see. Played elite ball at Carver. Really competitive Alabama high school football. And so we have a lot of guys. And Aboybe, we'll see when he gets fully back what this defensive line can be because he'll be the veteran guy. Otis is the up and comer, and then James Smith I think will be the freshman phenom.
Yeah, I agree. I like what we have returning. Like you said, nothing glaring, but people like Damon Payne, Monkel Goodwine. Those are some of the guys that I'm curious about because they was highly recruited out of their class and big things were said about them. So it's one of those. To me, maybe not now or never, but I think if it's not now, with the era of the transfer portal, they'll probably look somewhere else. So I want to see what these guys can bring. But Jamarian Latham, I'm ready to see him, emerge this year too. Try to emerge this year. And with James Smith breathing down his neck, hey, it's time for him to get down and dirty too.
For sure. And I think back to Josh's point, there isn't a glaring star maybe besides Otis, a guy that looks like he's going to have a really good NFL, career and promise. But we've definitely seen flashes from several players at this position. I mean, Aboybe, I've seen flashes for the last 3 years since the 2020 Natty year. Tim Smith's made some really good plays in his time in Alabama. Even Damon Payne, just watching him in limited time last year, he flashed a lot. Jamil Burrows has flashed a lot. It's just consistency they've got to get better with. And, with so many guys coming back, we have so many people we could turn to because if consistency is a question. But I think James Smith, like Brock's saying, James Smith is a dog. He's the guy that you got to really watch out for, the guy I'm really going to be looking out for at A-Day because he could jump up that depth chart really fast just with his quickness and ability to rush the passer on third down. And I can really see that forming into a role that he plays this upcoming season for Alabama.
And in the grand scheme of things, I think you're going to see a starting 3-man group of Smith, Otis, and Aboybe, depending how Aboybe returns with guys like Burrows, Payne, Latham coming in substitution, and Smith as well, James Smith as well. I think James Smith will be the one to really rise up from that group. And, I think James Smith, if we're talking about him a little more, we've had some really good defensive linemen over our history. John Allen's probably the best. Quentin Williams is one of the elite guys. But recently we've had guys like Christian Barmore and Fedarian Mathis who have been very, very good. But I think James Smith can be in that between level of like possibly better than Barmore, but it'll be tough to get to that Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen level. But I have really high expectations for James Smith.
Hey, I like Sean Robinson a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him jumping over that guy to block that field goal is one of my favorite moments I've ever watched.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yes.
I didn't believe it.
These big guys are athletic, man.
He made Derrick Henry on their announcement to go leave for the draft. He's the only person I've seen make Derrick Henry look like a child.
Yeah.
Sean Robinson looked like a 40-year-old man.
It really did. Well, so I think that was a good little talk about the D linemen. Like we said, really deep group. Here's another group that probably isn't so deep. It's guys that are really unproven and young. That's the linebacker room. The inside linebackers, to be more specific. We'll start there with Deontay Lawson returning. The main guy coming back from last season. Probably going to be that anchor signal caller on defense, replacing Henry To'oTo'o. While Henry may not have been the typical, signal caller on defense that Alabama fans are used to, like a Dylan Moses or a C.J. Mosley, Henry served his role, and Saban has talked plenty about how you can credit him for getting guys lined up in the right spots. We just had to replace Christian Harris last year, and Moody and Lawson kind of filled that role, but that role is right back open this year now that Lawson's taken To'oTo'o's role. And we've added 2 transfers to fill that regard. And Tresman Marshall, transfer from Georgia, will be a senior this year. And then the number 2 JUCO transfer, junior Justin Jefferson. Not the Justin Jefferson out there catching passes in the NFL, but a guy we hope that can make an impact like Justin Jefferson makes in the NFL for us and the linebacking core. That's just the inside linebackers. You also have got Sean Murphy returning. Has been hearing really good reports out of camp about him. Jahad Campbell, another guy that's really been, making good reports coming out of camp about him as well. And then when you talk outside linebackers, Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell, you got 2 really experienced guys coming back. One of the most talented outside linebackers in Dallas Turner coming back. And then that room itself is just as another deep room with all the talent that we've accumulated in that room. Keon Keeley coming in the spring, Quay Russo, Jeremiah Alexander, Keanu Coate, Quandarius Robinson. There are a ton of guys that we can see play that position this year. Nick, I want to see what you think about that. How do you think that this linebacker room is going to look this year, and what are your expectations for them?
Man, this linebacker room has potential to be one of the great linebacker rooms in Alabama history. Up under the Nick Saban era, it has that potential. But the question marks are, like you're saying, they're young with little experience. But you got guys like Jahad Campbell or Sean Murphy that was trending upward towards the end of the season. Fan favorite out of this group, everybody was wanting to see Kendra Blackshire. I really want to see what he's going to do as well. Can he make that next step to be, push for a starting role or, 1A or 1B role? Justin Jefferson, I really like him a lot. I think he will be used a heck of a lot. But one guy, I'm repeating myself when I say this, but Tresman Marshall. Nobody out here do not look down on Tresman Marshall, because I'm telling you this. I think this dude can be what we need in key parts of the season and key parts of the games as well this season. But last scrimmage, I thought we heard about Jeremiah Alexander had 2 sacks. With this scrimmage coming up, I'm hoping that he can continue to trend upward, because I believe he will see a lot of playing time this year behind Dallas Turner or Braswell. Another guy, Keanu Coate. I think it's kind of a now or never, but one of the dudes that I was very high on when he got recruited. I think he'd been going through the injuries or whatever. can he have a healthy year and make an impact for this team this year? But I think this group has potential to be one of the greats up under Nick Saban era and up under Kevin Steele. I think Kevin Steele can lead these, and Coach Robert Bala can lead these guys to success.
Yeah, for the inside back, I think the linebacker core, you got the signal caller, and I think that will be Lawson. I think that's where our defense will revolve around. He's got some experience now. I think he really took that job from Moody last year in stride. Moody struggled with injuries, but Lawson's, arguably been ready for it since his freshman year. I'm very confident in him. It's just where this other guy. I think we have at inside linebacker. I think we have arguably as much talent there and potential there as any other position. Like Blackshire is just a physical specimen. It's what him being at the Mike position, and also Lawson and Murphy, two very smart guys competing with him. That's gonna be tough for Blackshire to get on. He's always been a phenom on special teams too.
Yeah.
Him and Ian Jackson, who's another guy we haven't mentioned yet. Veteran guys. Where I get worried for these guys, if they're juniors like Blackshear and they get passed up pretty quickly by guys like Murphy, I think that's when you start seeing guys hit the portal. And I would not be surprised. I love Blackshear's one of my favorite players on this team, but if he cannot get past a guy like Murphy, it's going to be trouble for him because if you're getting passed by younger guys, when's your opportunity going to come? He's going to have to either wait for injury at that point or Marshall. I wasn't that high on at the time of his transfer. I thought it was going to be a package deal with Glenn Shimon, so I was kind of disappointed at the time. But the only thing I really don't like about the portal is that it sometimes causes you to not trust your depth and your young guys. I would have been very confident playing the likes of, even if they move Rusaw back to inside linebacker, I'd be confident playing Rusaw at the other inside linebacker position alongside Lawson. I would be confident playing Jahad Campbell. We got a lot of depth there that I'm really happy with. I think Marshall can do a good job. And Justin Jefferson, if you're going to bring a JUCO in, they should be able to play. Kyrie Jackson was kind of an anomaly to that because, he really never found his groove. But I'm pretty high on Justin Jefferson too. I think that position alongside Lawson will be a battle. I don't think anyone's won that job yet. And then on outside linebackers, I think it's one of the most talented groups, at least recruiting-wise, of any group in the country. Probably more 5-stars than any other position group of any team in the country. If I just go off the names, Chris Braswell, 5-star. Dallas Turner, 5-star. Jeremiah Alexander, 5-star. Jan Zapier, 5-star. Keon Keeley, 5-star. Loaded with talent. And also now Quay Russo. So it's just a boatload of talent there that I think we can really optimize. I think a lot of guys will be playing specialty positions with Dallas getting the most rotation and then Braswell coming in. But after that, I think Keon Keeley will have a specialty role in some packages as well as Jeremiah for more of a run-stopping ability. And then maybe Quindarius and guys like Keanu Coke can, work up and find a role through spring practice.
Well, I think, Brock, I saw Brock's comment down there about Kendrick Blackshear. I think you guys might be a little sad to know that Blackshear probably isn't going to be a guy at linebacker this year, if I had to guess, just based on what I've heard out of camp is that Murphy and Campbell, Lawson's obviously going to be there. He's going to be a guy that starts. I think Josh, you'll agree with that. And then Tresman Marshall and Justin Jefferson being brought in. I just don't see a role for Blackshear on the defense this year. I see him more as a gunner on special teams. He's performed well in that role before. But I don't expect Blackshear to have a big season on defense this year. I think another guy, and I think Nick Saban Jr. brought him up, Keanu Cope. He looks the part. He looks like he could be a great outside linebacker. He's got the body style for it. He's quick. He's fast. Can rush the passer. Really hasn't found his groove, especially with that injury last year. And then it's just tough when you got guys like Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell over you. And then you got guys like Keon Keeley coming in who are some of the most talented players in the country. So hopefully Keanu can find a groove this year and hopefully contribute to the defense. Yeah, in my opinion, I think we'll see a lot of Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell on that outside.
But I don't think we'll see the cheetah package either, is the thing. I think the cheetah package is done. I don't think we'll see 3 outside linebackers in the game at one time unless Keon Keeley comes out of nowhere. But I think most of the time, I think a lot of people have alluded to this, that we may only see Dallas on the field as the only outside linebacker and have 3 defensive linemen in because, stopping the run has been a struggle. We saw that in the Iron Bowl. We saw that against Kansas State with Deuce Vaughn. The best game we probably had last year was against Texas with Bijan Robinson, but we fully game planned to him. But we have to be better where we can, compete against everyone and not have to, just go, balls to the wall just because one guy's the top running back in the country. We can't let Robbie Ashford and the Barnes running back get 300 rushing yards on us. That's not acceptable. So I think that's going to be a really big emphasis. Is probably Dallas is going to be the lone guy in there most of the time with Braswell rotating in. I think we'll see, to Brock's point, I think we'll see our standard nickel defense. It's just how we utilize guys in it. We've seen Dallas been able to drop back into coverage and play more of a middle linebacker role. So if you're going to do that, you could put Braswell rushing, you could put Keeley rushing, you could put whoever, Keanu Coat, Quindarius Robinson. A lot of endless potential at that position. I think guys are going to have to really fight for a right to play behind Braswell and Turner, who are some of the most experienced veterans we have on this team.
I think you were just talking about Q Robinson. I think he's going to flash a little bit this year too. He's a very not experienced, but he's been here a while, a tenured guy. I think we'll see a lot of him this year kind of coming in when Dallas and Braswell need a breather. I think Quindarius will make an impact. And then especially Jeremiah Alexander on the run. He's going to be a really good run-stopping outside linebacker for us. What do you think? How do you think about this outside linebacker, Steven or Nick Saban? How do you think about that?
Outside linebacker, I think we could be really good at that position because, Braswell and who's the other guy? I can't think of his name right
Dallas
now.
Turner.
My mind messed up. Right? Who?
Dallas Turner.
Yeah, Turner. Yes, those guys. We forget about a lot of Bama fans forget about Dallas Turner and Braswell was a 5-star guy, and with this time, I'm glad he didn't with the era we in. I'm glad he didn't hit the portal. So I think we're going to see a lot out of Braswell this year because he flashed last year when he got his opportunity. He flashed, and Dallas Turner, he's coming in to make that. This is his money season. This is the year he will make his money, and guys like Jeremiah Alexander, Keon Keeley, when he gets get on the campus, Quay Russo, this outside linebacker group is highly talented. Will they live up to the expectation? The young guys, I don't know, but I know Braswell and Dallas Turner, I feel like they will live up to their expectations.
I absolutely agree. And then Brock's got a question right here about, are we going to see the 4-2-5 defense or the same 3-4? I know sometimes when a coach brings in a new assistant coach, Kevin Steele coming in. I think Kevin did run the 4-2-5 a lot at Miami.
Yes.
Saban doesn't change up what he does. Saban's going to run the same thing he's always run, which is the 3-4. So, and this is exactly what he's been talking about, especially with Reese coming in. You don't want to have to teach an entirely new defense or offense in one offseason. So when he hires new coaches, he brings them in and they adapt the playbook a little bit and bring some of their own things and move it into the playbook and use it together with what was already there. So I think Steele will maybe add to the playbook and add to what we do here, but I don't think we'll change up our style of defense at all. I think it'll stay in the 3-4, what these players are accustomed to and comfortable with. I think it's all about player comfortability, and Saban doesn't want to make it any more difficult than it has to be. Just go out there with a simplistic defensive mindset and just win at the point of attack every game. I think that's kind of what they preach. We obviously lost a couple of cornerbacks this offseason, and Eli Ricks going to the NFL. Maybe he didn't have the immediate impact that we all wanted him to have, but he certainly left an impact on the field at the end of the season. And then the aforementioned Kyrie Jackson transferring over with Trayshawn Holden to Oregon. But the big name that returns is Kool-Aid McKinstry. Not only a big name in the DB spot, but also at the punt returning spot. I'm looking for him to have some bigger strides this year than he's ever had. He's going to turn himself into a great NFL prospect, I think, and probably leave after his junior year. How do you think Kool-Aid's going to play this year, Josh? You think he's going to get better? You think he's going to put himself maybe in that first-round conversation of the NFL draft?
Yeah, I think he's arguably the best cornerback in college football now. When you see, so many elite guys leave for the NFL, but I think he was playing like an elite guy all year. You rarely saw guys throw at him, and when they did, he was breaking it up. That's why Kool-Aid didn't have too many interceptions either, because no one was throwing at him.
Yeah,
I put Kool-Aid in a high category. I think his potential's there, up with the likes of fellow Birmingham native Marlon Humphrey, as high as guys like Surtain. The D. Milliners of the world, Drake Kirkpatrick's of the world. I'm really high on Kool-Aid since he's been a recruit. I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves punt returning duties, because we've seen how dramatic playing a star player can be on playing them on special teams. Jalen Waddle, Eddie Jackson, Kenyon Drake, notable players that have suffered season-ending injuries from special teams. So it's going to be – I think I wouldn't be upset if they move him off and, say, move a second-string, third-string skill position guy, maybe like Isaiah Bond or Cody Prentice, or even like an Emmanuel Henderson back there. I really wouldn't mind, because I really think Kool-Aid's most value is at cornerback, because, towards the end of last year, they were just punting where he would have a fair catch every time. They weren't letting him return last year. Because of the early success he had in the year. So I think Kool-Aid's really going to be. Am I echoing?
Yeah, it's a little echo.
All right.
I think it might be with Nick Saban's.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Are we good now? Yeah. Other than that, Terry and Arnold will be the other guy across from him, returning his second year starting. Didn't get a full body of work because Eli Ricks took that job later in the year. Arnold had some shaky games against Texas that